Hello, book lovers. Welcome to Booknerds Podcast, India's first book podcast, wherein we get in conversations with authors, all discussing about books that you love. And we have shot over 100 podcasts with different authors talking all about books that you will obviously enjoy. And today, I'm delighted that we are going to get in conversation with an amazing author, the author of this book, Jasmines In Her Hair, my new favorite poetry book, I must say, Mr. Kalpesh Desai. Hello, Kalpesh.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nomi, for having me.
How are you doing? Everything you're excited?
Very well. All well. Thank you so much.
Okay. Kalpesh, when I was reading the book, the very first thing, that attracted to me was the title of the book. So at the beginning, I didn't give it much thought. After I finished the book, and then I saw that in the alchemy section, there's also a poem, Jasmines In Her Hair. So then
Right.
I started thinking, what is the story behind choosing this particular phrase as the title of the book? Why not ego? Why not, regret over sunset? There's more than 100 poems. So why Jasmines In Her Hair? What's the story behind it?
So if we coming in from South Asia, we look upon jasmine. The jasmine flower is adorned by women in our society as a to signify innocence, purity, etc. But it is also a flower that we put onto deities when we pray, right? So that's basically it. So when I wrote the book, if you look at the theme of the book is about gratitude. So even though you may have, passionate pieces, and then you have introspective pieces going through it, you'll never find a single poem that speaks negatively about the other person.
Sure.
Right? So that's basically the way of showing reverence to whoever your partner is at that stage in your life. And coming in from South Asia, the best way to show reverence to somebody who you consider a goddess is by placing jasmines in the hair. That's where the title comes from.
Okay, that's so fascinating. That has such much more deeper meaning than what is there on the surface level. So amazing. Also, though, as you mentioned that there is gratitude, there's different themes that is being followed in the book. There's love, there's rediscovery. There's so many elements into it. Now, I would like to know, was any of this influenced from a personal journey of yours? Was any of the poetry influenced by that?
Almost all of them are influenced by a personal journey. So, I've come from a fractured relationship. I've had, regeneration of relationships. And I've also seen fractured relationships around me. So, poetry allows me to be an observer even to my own situation. So, when I write it, I will also take into consideration how the other person is feeling, how it's going to be absorbed. And that's how it's actually written. So that's basically the theme. So yeah, there's a lot of personal insight that has gone into the book.
So you've been through all of those and you've just penned it down, and in the most beautiful manner.
Correct. Thank you so much.
Okay. As you were mentioning about, there's so many different emotions as well. Now, whenever we talk about these emotions, again, there's love. There's so many fractured relationships. These are very complex. Like the people that go through it, they face very complex emotions. And conveying these emotions through poetry, it requires, you have to be very delicate with it. So was it a challenge for you to portray these complex emotions in a delicate manner? If it was a challenge, then how did you approach it?
So what I do is, let's say if I'm in a conversation with somebody and say the conversation hasn't gone very well, maybe it ends up in an argument, I'll step back and I've been habituated to start taking notes and examine what did I do wrong, what happened, how did my conversation land, how did my words land on the other person. So when you're writing a poem, you also want to send out a message and some sort of a lesson to the other person, right? Who's going to read it eventually. So what did they get out of it? What did I get out of it? What did the other person get out of it? But that's how poetry gets formed. And it also, when you write it that way, it also helps you analyze what I did perhaps was not correct. I could have done it differently, like that. And that's how it's written. That's how I write it though. So.
Amazing. I'll just note
Does
that
that make sense?
point where you said no, that whenever you have conversations, you step back and then you write it down. I'm actually a law student.
Right.
I think that will be very helpful for me. I'll just note that as well. To
I
the
know.
watching as well, please note it down. You're getting a little bit tip of conversational skills also, communication skills also. You can enhance that if you follow this tip. Okay, thank you so much for that, Kalpesh. Kalpesh,
Most welcome.
and after reading the book, I am pretty sure that all over the world, whoever has read the book, they might have been inspired by you. They might have, started thinking, they might have jotting down their own thought, their own experiences in a poetic manner. Now, we would like to know, as the audience, what was your inspiration? Was there any particular artist, any writer, any book that inspired you?
So I've been inspired to write poetry from the 8th grade. We used to have the school teacher. I used to be in a boarding school, and we had a school teacher who was gorgeous, and so my first crush, and she encouraged us to write a poem a day.
Wow.
So that's where it started from. And then we studied everything. We studied Tennyson. We studied. We read Rudyard Kipling.
Mhm.
We Shakespeare all the way through. We had even our course syllabi had almost 6 of his titles. So I've been reading poetry all my life. So I can't say that there's just one influence that I would refer to. But I think one of my biggest influences has been Rumi. And I know it may sound cliche, but I think there's a lot of depth in terms of what Rumi says. What's interesting that people do not know about is that when Rumi talks about love, he's not talking about a romantic partner. He's talking about love of God. So that's something that people do not really get when they read his. So when you read his words next, don't read it as if he's talking about a romantic partner. Read it as if he's talking about God, and then you really get what it's saying. So in that sense, I think I truly am inspired by Rumi.
Great, amazing. To all the, I'm pretty sure the Gen Zs are also watching us. Remember the Rumi point. Please don't go ahead and post his quotes thinking that he's talking about your partner. So that's another point to be noted. Also,
Though it can be, it's like so. Though it can be interpreted like that, but yeah, I mean that's what his original intent was. So,
okay. So moving on, when we are talking about like Rumi, you have he's the one that you get influenced by a lot. There are people who are getting influenced by you as well. Do you have any tip, any advice for these upcoming writers who are getting influenced by you with the writing?
I think my tip for upcoming writers is to read every genre. If your intention is to become a writer, explore style. So, for example, if you desire to write a poetry book, don't get stuck onto a particular style. Explore. There are various forms, formats, styles that are out there. Explore all of them. Find your calling in that sense. You find your own style, or you can even make your own style at that point in time. Like, for example, there are a lot of poets who don't rhyme. They write free verse, but it's beautiful. So it's fine. I mean, you as long as the words convey what you intend to convey, I think that's perfectly all right. But I would encourage people to read. I get disappointed when I come across writers who refuse to read. So, and then that's something that is, surprises me. That if you don't not like reading, how are you a writer in the first place?
So as a writer, you have to read. So
You have to read.
yeah, what are the current books that you are reading? If you'd like to give recommendations to me and the audience.
So I'm currently reading Karma by Sadhguru.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then and then I have just finished reading Power. But my favorite book of all time, and they're not poetry books, so I've been so the only novels that I read are historical fiction, and I love Conor Gilden. He's written about he's got the Mughal series and he's got a Roman series. So that's one author that you should, if you like historical fiction, that's definitely an author that you need to see. I love the Shiva trilogy. I think the author's name is Amish. I'm not sure.
Chapati.
Amish, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that is a brilliant series. Then from a business book perspective, I like Goldratt and Netanyahu.
Okay.
So they wrote they wrote books called The Goal and the why am I forgetting this now? The goal is one of the books that you may want to look at. So
Sure. Thank you so much for those amazing recommendations. I've read the Shiva trilogy and I agree with you. It's an amazing book, very interesting, a very very new take on the mythology.
on
Yes, yeah, very amazing.
correct,
Yeah, so recommendation.
correct.
Another recommendation from our side to the audience. Okay. Kalpesh, while I was reading the book, no, there is a concept of letting go that you have emphasized on. How does this
Right.
concept of letting go fit the larger narratives of love in your work?
So I think what happens is that when I say letting go, what it means is that when we hold on to, let's say, the past, or we hold on to grudges, no, we are only putting ourselves down. We are weighing ourselves down. We are weighing down our words. We are weighing, when we hold on to that, then we are also building up walls. We don't allow something new to come in. So when I say my interpretation of letting go is that if I let go of the past, then I create space for something else to come forth to me in the future. If I let go of my grudges, I am lighter, I am freer. So that's basically how it works.
Amazing.
That's my concept, and I think and I think letting go is more a choice that one can make as a human being. I mean, if we strengthen our mind, I think we can take a choice. Like I read, if you read Sadhguru, for example, I think he will say that getting angry is a choice. Okay, so similarly, letting go is a choice, and I think, like, if you aren't unable to let go, then you're only going to cause friction with somebody else. So let's say, for example, if your partner says something to you that you do not agree with, you got a choice of getting into a long debate, and if that's going to serve a purpose, okay, well, go ahead with it. But eventually, if it's not going to serve the purpose, then let go. Let go of your own ego, let go of your assumptions, and and move forward on that front. Right? So that's basically what it was.
Yeah. Because if you're staying also, then you are losing out a chance of yourself finding true love, and also a chance for your partner as well.
Absolutely correct.
So that is how it fits the whole the perspective of the
equation. Yes, correct.
Okay,
correct.
Amazing. Okay, Kalpesh, as you mentioned earlier that authors and writers, if you're planning to write, you should read different genres. You should, explore. You should keep reading more and more. And I'm sure, as you mentioned, you've also done that. So is your work going to evolve in the future in any way? Are you going to explore any different genres or?
I have. So I have written. Okay, so I've written 2 books. The Jasmines In Her Hair is actually the second book. The first book hasn't been published yet.
Okay.
It's a book targeted at entrepreneurs and young business, leaders. It is poetry and prose. I have a third book that's in the making, which is called A Pattern Principle, and that basically uses a storytelling format to explain how certain repeating patterns distort processes within companies, and how do you spot those patterns. So, but I use it like I've put in like stories and tales from actual business cases that are in there. So that book is called The Pattern Principle. So yeah, there are different genres. I mean, poetry is not the only form that I will put across.
If I may ask a question, why was in the first book? Can we is there any chance for us?
Right. So I mean, I have the manuscript. Everything is ready. I mean, the book was ready sometime July last year.
Okay.
And I had approached a literary agent. The literary agent came and told me that poetry is a genre that's not picking up. In fact, is dipping. Secondly, you're an unknown author. So, getting in. Third, your genre is neither business nor poetry. I mean, or it's a fusion of business and poetry. Okay. So, that's a completely new genre. It's untested waters. Publishers may not be willing to take a chance. So I said, let me do this. Let me test what, if my poetry is actually market friendly, so to speak. And that's where Jasmines in Her Hair came up. So I wrote Jasmines in Her Hair in 45 days.
Wow.
And then launched it in December on Amazon in the US, and then launched it in India in January.
You wrote more than 100 poems in just 45 days.
No, I had some poems written already, which I compiled in, and then I completed the rest of it. I had around 70 to 80 poems written at that time. I think Jasmine's in Her Hair probably has around 170, 180 poems. I'm not sure. I think it's around 180 poems. Mm-hmm. So the rest I wrote in between between the first week of November till the end of December.
Wow. Yeah. So
I wanted to launch it before Christmas, and that was my target.
Amazing. We're actually very happy. Now I'm very happy that, the first book gave you this challenge so that you created this book.
Right.
Everything fall out properly in place in proper time.
Absolutely.
At the right time, everything happened. Amazing. So, Kalpesh, when I was reading this poem, the poetries, all the different poetries, if I may, my favorite poem is I Don't Live There Anymore. I'm sure you might have guessed it because I chose that poem for the book as well. So that is my favorite poem because I feel like I resonated with it a lot. Is there any particular poem from the collection that is your favorite, that you feel very close to?
I think there are a few. There's To the Me I Used to Be. That is a poem. I mean, I can, that's something that you need to. So I can do the spoken. I can read out a poem you like first.
Oh, thank you so much.
You came looking for me in those dark places where you thought I'd be. I just thought I'd let you know. I don't live there anymore.
Thank you so much. It just seems like just a few lines, but for people who have experienced something of the similar sort, it just becomes so, it feels like whatever emotions that you couldn't put in words and you couldn't express, it just feels like somebody has done it for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So I've got a few. I mean, I've got like a reason to stay. Would you like me to read that?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe it was the way your hair curled over your forehead, or your way your eyes followed me when I walked across the floor. Maybe it was the magic we shared in bed, not caring about what the mornings had in store. Maybe it was the way my heart skipped a beat when your lips curved into a smile. Maybe it was the way I felt complete when your head rested on my shoulder for a while. Or maybe it was just that we didn't have to speak to hear what we had to say. Just maybe we didn't have to seek a reason to stay.
Wow. Can I clap?
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there any other poetry that you would like to?
I think there's this one which is, there are a few, and I think it's just one that I need to find, which is called To the Me I Used to Be. There's also I Don't Love You. So these are a few of those. I don't know if you recollect those, but I didn't love you, at least not in the way you wanted me to. I didn't care, at least not in the way you wanted my heart laid bare. I didn't listen, at least not in the way my eyes would glisten. I didn't touch, at least not in the way you wanted me to so much. I didn't know then I won't have those chances again. I didn't know then you can't rewind time to way back then.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So those are some other poems.
Amazing. Okay. I think with all of these poems, with everything, I'll be very honest. There is that feeling in me, that is craving more. Like I want to read more. So,
No.
on behalf of the entire audience, on behalf of your fan base, I would like to request you to please give us another part of this, maybe Jasmines In Her Hair Part 2, or anything but a poetry collection, so that we can satisfy the urge that is, that we feel after reading all of this poetry.
Sure, absolutely. So I've started writing some more, and I've put up a few pieces on my Instagram page. So you may catch some of those.
Yes.
So I think it's so you'll get a glimpse of what's coming.
Sure. Okay.
But I do want to have my other books out first before Jasmines In Her Hair Part 2 comes out.
Okay, of course.
Yes.
I will read those books even if they are not my type of genre. I'll still read them because
All right. Okay. Thank you.
there will be some portions of poetry in them as well.
No, so the book that's anywhere but here is even though it's for entrepreneurs, it's a poetry book.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah. So you'll find that, and then I think it's there's I can do one recital from there.
Okay, of course.
I do not know what lies ahead. I cannot take back all that was said. I do know what I have left behind. Memories that haunt and play on rewind. It was home till it wasn't. It always feels like love till it doesn't. What did I say to my future me? Did I hold on to grudges or did I let it be? Did I dig my heels in? Did I hold my ground? Did I forge a path when there's none to be found? Don't give me a label. Don't believe the news. Don't judge my path. If you haven't walked in my shoes when the light wasn't shining, the path was unclear, did you find me saying I'd rather be anywhere but here? I've been forged, I've been molded, tempered by life, bent and folded. I've melted but won't be broken. There's strength in words that remain unspoken. There's no angst in loss, no trauma, no fear. You'll not find me anywhere but here.
Thank you so much.
That's part of the that's the genesis behind the title of that book.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I believe the audience might all be, right now they would be like, oh wow, we feel privileged. We feel privileged to have, heard it from the author himself. Thank you so much. All the best for your upcoming work.
Thank you very much.
Okay. With that, Kalpesh, we come to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for having this lovely conversation with me. Thank you for all the book recommendations. Thank you for letting us know about your upcoming works as well, so we can all prepare. I can at least make the savings that I need to. Thank you so much for all of it. So thank you so much for the lovely audience as well who have been here. If you want to check out more of Kalpesh's work, you can check out his Instagram page. He is very active on his Instagram page. It's Kalpesh Desai Official. It will appear on the screen as well. And you can follow us on Instagram, the Booknerds. You can follow us on Facebook. We are on Facebook as well, on X as well. And YouTube will keep coming up with different monthly recommendations, with different podcasts, and basically everything about books.